Tell me to my face, are you this tough?
Oh, it's so cold in here. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Good to have you here. Randomly, I was going through a bunch of my footage on all of my SD cards on my computer, and I was clearing out a lot of footage that I just didn't need anymore, old tutorial footage and stuff that I've already filmed and already edited. And I randomly came across this entire meal prep video that I had filmed for you guys back when I lived in my apartment in Oakland, which was over a year ago. And I decided that instead of scrapping all of this footage, that I would edit it into a video and share it with you guys, because these recipes were just way too good not to share. And so if you're wondering why this is filmed in my old apartment in Oakland, that's why. It's over a year old, but I'm really excited to share them with you because I still actually make all of these recipes all the time. I just totally forgot that I filmed it. But I have 3 recipes for you guys, 1 breakfast, 1 lunch, and 1 dinner, 2 days worth. That way it's prepped out and ready to grab and go in to-go containers. It's so convenient. I really hope you guys enjoy these recipes. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so for this first recipe, I made a chia seed pudding for breakfast loaded with cinnamon and fruit, and this couldn't be any easier to make. To make this, gather a few ingredients. Obviously, you will need some chia seeds, which are great because they're loaded with fiber and omega acids and take on whatever flavor you throw at them. Next, you'll want some sort of plant milk. I'm using almond. Then to flavor this baby up, I'm using real maple syrup, but agave works just fine. And then some bananas will get you thrown in there. Wait, what? Then some bananas will get thrown in there, wow. Also some blueberries and some cinnamon. To get this going, I have a couple of to-go containers here, and I'm going to measure out about a cup of the plant milk. Give it a good couple of dashes of cinnamon and then add in half a cup of chia seeds. After throwing those in there, give it a quick little stir and then add in some maple to taste and let those sit and absorb the milk mixture. This won't take long, but I'll set it in the fridge to solidify while I work on my prepped out lunch, which is this insanely amazing veggie pita sando with dill cucumber tzatziki sauce. This sandwich is kind of to die for. Like, it's not gonna disappoint anybody. It's so good, and the cucumber tzatziki sauce is really killer, so here's how I made it. Okay, so for the tzatziki sauce, the ingredients needed will be a vegan sour cream or plain yogurt. I personally love the Tofutti brand. Some fresh dill, some cucumbers. You don't have to use Persian, but I had them on hand, so that's what I'm using here. A lemon, some salt, and finally some garlic powder. Start out by zesting the lemon, which should render about half a teaspoon of the zest. Then throw it into a bowl and juice the same lemon right in as well. Then I'm cutting up a few of my Persian cucumbers, probably about 3 or so, which will give me about 3/4 of a cup of diced cucumber. And I'm also taking a bunch of dill and chopping it up, and I like to take out the stalks when I can by running my fingers through it. So chop, 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 then throw that into the bowl. Adding in a few shakes of salt and garlic powder, and then a big heaping spoonful of the vegan sour cream. I'm gonna go ahead and toss that together, and now it's ready to go onto our pitas. For the pitas, you could use anything you want, such as falafel or any kind of veggie patty, but I found these Dr. Prager's California veggie patties, and I really do love these for this recipe. Taking a non-stick skillet, I'm going to fry up 2 patties and essentially cook them until they're super brown, which is how I like them. These are actually a really soft patty, so the more you cook them, the more they hold up, but even when they're soft, they're still really, really good. Once those patties were cooked all the way through, I grabbed 2 pita bread wraps, which I did not focus the camera on apparently. I went ahead and warmed them up a little bit in the pan so they would be a little bit more flexible. And then I prepped them out with some tzatziki sauce, a patty that I cut in half to fit on one side, some sprouts, some fresh avocado, some tomato slices, and I think other things would be good to use on there as well, such as like onions or spinach, radishes, shredded carrot, really whatever you want to put on it. But keep in mind these are versatile and very customizable. After folding these pita sandos in half, they were ready to fit perfectly into my to-go containers and were ready to be a convenient little grab-and-go lunch for a busy day. I seriously can't get enough of these. They're so good, and I think you guys will really enjoy them. About that time, the chia seeds in my pudding from earlier had set up nicely, so I sliced up my banana and layered that in there, along with some fresh blueberries. I topped it off with a dash of cinnamon, and that completed my prepped out 2 days worth of easy grab-and-go breakfast. Alright, so for my dinner prep, I wanted to share with you guys this way of prepping out one of my favorite things ever, and that's spaghetti squash. And in this version, I made a healthy vegan cheese sauce to go over it, and it was fire, dude. Like, it was so good. This sauce would also go so well on regular pasta or on roasted veggies. So yeah, get ready. This is how I made it. First thing is roasting the spaghetti squash, which here I have 2 smaller ones. I began by cutting the tops off with a very sharp knife and then very carefully cutting it in half down the vertical side. Then when the squash gets opened up, there's going to be a bunch of fibers and seeds and stuff inside that needs to be scooped out with a spoon before roasting, so that's what I did. Laying the squashes face down on some oven-safe baking dishes, I stuck them into the oven and baked them on 375 degrees. While those roasted for a little over half an hour, I started prepping the vegan cheese sauce that will be going over the cooked squash. For the vegan cheese sauce, the ingredients that are needed are 2 carrots, half of an onion, 1 large potato, raw cashews, some veggie broth, some nutritional yeast, some salt, and finally some granulated garlic and smoked paprika powder. I started by peeling my carrots and potatoes and then cutting them and the onion into slightly smaller pieces. Don't cut them too small, this is just to cook more evenly while they boil in a big pot on the stove, and they're gonna boil until they get soft enough to blend in a blender. While those veggies boil on the stove, I pulled out my spaghetti squash from the oven and tested it to see if it was done cooking. How I knew is the squash should be soft enough to use a fork to remove the flesh from the rind, but it shouldn't be mushy. When it peels away from the rind, it'll resemble spaghetti noodles, hence its name, and that's when you know it's gonna be done. Okay, so after about 20 minutes of boiling, my veggies in the pot on the stove were fully cooked, and so I used a large colander to drain them and then very carefully used some tongs to place the cooked veggies into a blender. To season this up to make it taste like cheese sauce, I added in about half a cup of nutritional yeast, a few shakes of garlic powder, a little salt, some smoked paprika powder, and half a cup of raw cashews. And then to get this going, just a little bit of veggie broth to help it blend up. When blending, the consistency should be thick and creamy, so make sure to add just enough broth to blend it, but not too much or else it'll become too runny. Once it's done blending, it should be smooth and thick and velvety. Okay, so once my squash cooled off, I used a fork to remove the flesh from the rind, which should be easy enough to come out when running the fork through it. And then once that was scooped out, I put it into a bowl. Next, I poured enough of my vegan cheese sauce over the noodles to evenly coat them, and I stirred that in, and oh my god, dude, look at that. It looks so good, and it is so good. Okay, again, this is going to be super customizable. You can really add whatever you want to this. I decided to add some fresh peas and some sriracha because I seriously can't live without the stuff. And that's it. I served it up into some to-go containers and sauced it up, and we good to go. Alright, so that does it for this simple and healthy vegan meal prep. I hope that this was helpful and that you give this a try. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to have you all back here very soon. Take care, and I love you all.